Hi, it's Dennis Daly. Have you ever heard of a party game called Stir Crazy? The contestants spin the wheel to see which of two teams gets which foods. That's kind of dangerous, and then your job is to fix all kinds of different entrees in the same kitchen at the same time. When I went to the home of the CEO of the Decipher Company, the company that made Stir Crazy, I found quite a crowd there. Angie, Tracy, Monica, Kathy, Lori, Brian, Steve, Jeffrey, and some latecomers were there. It's kind of a complicated game to explain, but once you get the hang of it, well, I think you'll find that this is going to be one of the most interesting programs we've ever done.
Everything's included. The groceries that you buy, you just invite the guests. Invitations are included. And everything you need's in there. The grocery list, you send out the invitations, go buy your groceries, and when your guests come, they find out they're going to divide up into two teams and then spin for groceries, and then they have to make an entree, appetizer, and dessert with whatever they end up with in 90 minutes.
Did some lazy host come up with this? Was that who invented this?
Kathy Rondo, and Cindy could tell you some more about her background. She's done a lot of games for Parker Brothers, and I can't remember the names, but Girl Talk. Lori could take over from that. I know she did something for Parker Brothers. And then we developed it internally, Decipher did, and it is for lazy host. Because we did a survey with Gallup on home entertaining, and people just really don't have time. That's what they cite as the reason for why they don't entertain as often as they'd like to, because they don't have the time. And this takes all the prep work out, all the stress just done for you. Even, you can even ask your guests to bring the groceries. There's a place on the invitation, so you could just show up, and they come and they do all the cooking. And they even help with the cleanup, which is the beauty.
One of the things that strikes me, and may be pragmatic to talk about this, is that we've entered a time in which people really don't interact very much. Before going on the air in the car from the airport, Monica and I were talking about the fact, I guess she was listening, I was talking, that in the early part of the century, almost everyone played piano. A lot of people played violin. The entertainment before the record player, which was the Victrola and movies and television, was people sat around and sang and cooked. And we've gotten so much away from any type of communal entertainment. Something like this seems to really be a good thing as far as putting people together in a casual atmosphere, rather than going out and spending a lot of money sitting in a theater and not talking for 2 hours.
Yeah, it's a great icebreaker. We've had people who don't know each other well really bond, because there's no greater way to bond than the desire to kick the other teams, behind, or smear the other team, I guess you could say. So you see, because of the competitive nature of the game, people really bond really quick and work because they want to win so badly. We've found even the guys who come, who've never played, saying they don't want to play the game, they think it's a stupid idea, leave, talking about what a great time they had, and ask me, when are we going to play again? When are we going to play again? Because they just really get into the competitive nature. I've seen guys carving little men and palm trees out of peppers, for the Mexican episode, just to garnish things. So it doesn't matter if you can cook or not either. That's what's great about it.
Now we're going to do the Mexican one tonight. And how many different variations are there?
Right now there's 3: Mexican, Italian, and Oriental. We're looking to add vegetarian very soon, just desserts, and something like down-home comfort food cooking.
So the whole idea is a lot of people get together, either knowing in advance or sometimes as a surprise, and have to construct a theme meal in teams.
Yeah, in 90 minutes, and we give them all the ingredients, the tablecloths, everything. The host provides everything, just sets it out, and they've got to, do their best with it. 90 minutes, and they're judged on the 3 dishes: entree, appetizer, and dessert, as well as creativity of naming the dish and presenting the dish and setting the table for the other team.
Now, is there a judge by the time the 90 minutes is over, particularly if people are, let's say, imbibing a little bit? Yeah. Who's the arbiter? Who decides who wins?
Everybody votes, and we've been really surprised. It's not, divided along team lines. Everyone's really honest, and we even have an award or distinction called the dish the dog wouldn't eat. And people are real honest about that. But usually the food is really great because everybody's competing. It's not your most locale meal because everyone's adding butter and sugar and flour from the staple pile. There's a group of staples everybody can use. So it's fattening, but usually really good food because everybody's really competing so hard to win.
Monica Jones, one of the PR people from Decipher, picked me up at the airport, and at the dinner party at the company's CEO's house, I asked Monica what it was like to work for a company in which the whole thrust is to invent things that are fun to play with.
It's the kind of company where they encourage you to play games. If the partners are walking around the company and we're sitting around playing games, well, that's encouraged. We get bonus points for that. Working on Stir Crazy it's an easy sell. I mean, the game is a blast, and people just really enjoy it. So it's an easy sell to sell it to the reporters and such.
It would seem too, of course, it's a natural coming into the holiday season. This is when people buy games. That not only is something like this great for a holiday party, but I would think it's something that you see sales going on all year round because it's a party game without really a season attached to it.
That's right. Of course, the volume of the game surges around this time of year, but again, it can be used for the Mexican version can be used for the Cinco de Mayo time of year. There are different seasons of the year that this game is perfect. The Oriental is great for the Chinese New Year time frame. So there are different ways that you can use the different versions, with different holidays.
Now, can we go over and look at some of the items on the table? Obviously, of course, this is a Mexican motif. Why don't you take us through a little bit of an inventory? You've got part of the box, and just tell us, in the Mexican version, what all things you get to set this up.
Okay. Every game box comes complete with everything that you need for a dinner party. Here are the invitations that you send out to your friends.
Okay, these are postcards, really wild-looking postcards coming on a big sheet. You just tear them off. So they've got a very bright catch-your-eye design on one side, and then where, when, why, what on the other.
Right, and you can also, on the invitation, in order to cut down on the grocery list, you can have some of your friends bring some of the items on the grocery list. So in that case, people are always asking what to bring to your party. So this is the easy answer to that. Once your teams divide into two teams, you just use these name tags, salt and pepper. Those are the two names of the team. So you can just sign your name right on. They're stickies, and you can just put them right on your check.
Well, obviously, and pardon my eating as we do this, my listeners know I love to eat. Obviously, you're going to have parties where you have strangers.
That's right.
And then, as we were saying, is one of the fun of introducing people, so you've got name tags.
And this game is perfect, actually, for people who don't know each other, because by the end of the night, you end up being great friends. This is the most important thing of the game, actually. It's the host guide, and this lists all the ingredients, and what you do is when I took this right to the grocery store today and went through, made sure I got all the staples, I got some extra spices, and it's all listed right on this grocery list. And I made sure, since we're going to have 14 guests, I did a little bit more than what it says for 12 guests.
Well, now something here I like is the fact that it doesn't list brand names. Obviously, this is not put out by the Campbell Soup Company or whatever to sell refried beans. It just says can of tomato sauce. You can use any, and if you want to save money, go out and buy generic. That's
right. And you can follow the list right as it goes, or you can insert some other things that you think would be really fun for your party.
Well, let's run through some of these, and I don't expect everyone to run out and buy them. You select 2 meats from 4 here, and you've got boneless chicken, ground beef, boneless pork, or shrimp, which gives you a very good idea.
Right.
And depending on what part of the country you're in, too, it could be a regional kind of thing. A list of fruits and vegetables all the way down through bananas and limes, dairy products, and then general things like tortilla, rice, jalapeno. Yeah, it is going to be hot, isn't it?
Yeah, and so, this is the Mexican version, but then if you get the Italian version, the grocery list is entirely different, and the same for Oriental. And then also, it goes on and on. It gives you different tips for hosting your party, and it's important that you read through it and make sure that you have all the details.
Well, everything is in there, even the number of disposable spoons you're going to need.
Yep. Even the amount of ice that you're going to need for a typical number of people.
I wonder how many times the research group did this. We need to talk. Is someone here from the planning section we could talk to?
Actually, Cindy, the president of the company, would be the...
Well, I'll talk to her about that later, but I'm curious as to, how many dry runs they did to perfect this. Plus, it's
in fact, this
book.
person right here, Laurie, she said this is the first time I've seen all the actual game components, because she's played it so many times where we were just, getting through the different...
Well, let me ask her, Laurie, Lori, if I can bother you for a second.
Yeah.
Monica was saying, we were talking about the components of this, and I was wondering how much research, how many dry runs went into this before it was put out on the market. She says, for example, in research, you've played parts of this, but this is the first time you have really seen the whole box of contents laid out.
Yeah, we've played it. Probably this is my third time I played it, and the beginning times when we played, it was all prototypes, so of course nothing worked. But we had fun anyway because the spinner always landed on the same thing, and it was a comedy of errors. But the concept has always been fun ever since the first time we played it, because it's funny how the guys started participating in the cooking, and that's something that we women really have a struggle with, as we all know. So it was nice for them to be involved. And it's also one of the things I found really fun about it was I like naming the entrees, because you don't really think about when you see things in a recipe book. You're like, how did they come up with that name? So the naming part of it was really a funny part of it, because of course everybody's personality comes out in the title they select for their entree.
A nice group of young people: Angie, Tracy, Monica, Kathy, Lori, Brian, Steve, Jeffrey, and in a little bit later, some late comers will be there. I've been talking to Lori about the game Stir Crazy, and she says it's a wonderful way to bring people together at a party, even strangers.
Exactly. Usually at a party, most of the parties I go to, it's like the women congregate in the kitchen and the men are talking about football or some other topic that we're not interested in. But in this game, obviously the teams are split up so that we're all mixed together, and there's really the conversations it's kind of funny what comes up, because we start talking about, because everybody's mixed up, of course. It's just, it is much better in making the sexes come together.
Now, I wonder how many people got turned on to cooking doing this. You said that the guys sometimes will get involved in this. We've entered this macho kind of age where it's kind of sissy in a way. But we got to remember the great chefs of all time. Usually we talk about men, few exceptions, Julia Child, people such as that. I just wonder how many people were suddenly saying, hey, that's not too bad, I'm going to try that next week. Make the wives happy, at least.
It's funny how my husband, for example, who does very little cooking, expects me to have dinner on the table every night, of course, he was right involved with it, and and the men have enjoyed this too. Like one of the guys here tonight, my all-time favorite name of something was the Sloppy Pedro, and that pretty much says it all. It was just that.
What about ages in this? I presume there's a bottom limit. Obviously, it seems to be the kind of dinner party adults would have, but I guess down to a certain point, still kids could have fun with this.
Yeah, we did focus groups, and so many people said they would include their families, their kids, teenagers to play it, and it'd be great for family reunions, which we didn't think about, but it would be great for family reunions and get-togethers, and we never thought about playing with your kids.
I would think over the years you're going to have more feedback and come up. I mean, church groups could do this. It's a clean, fun kind of thing. I just think anything that deals with food, particularly if you're in a kitchen where you don't mind making a little mess, you can have great fun.
Oh, people have told us they've been so creative that they've used it for housewarming parties, wedding gifts. They've used it for bridal showers, and everyone brings kitchen gifts. So, I mean, people have come back to us with really creative ideas, anniversary gifts, and we thought, you could play it for Cinco de Mayo. We thought of that one, but that hasn't come up yet since we've had the game. But
the thought occurs to me, if I owned a small restaurant, if I wanted to have a party, of course, restaurants never close, so it's tough to have a party. If I wanted to have a party for my restaurant help, this would be fun.
Oh, yeah, that would be great. It'd be a good fundraiser, too, if you think about it. It'd be a real good fundraiser. Well, I didn't think about that until just now, but people have been really creative with all the uses. I think it'd be a great New Year's Eve party, too.
Oh, my goodness, yes, if people can stay cogent long enough to do it.
Yeah, well, that typically happens. We have a few cocktails, but you can play it without alcohol. We've done it both ways, and it's so much fun either way. I mean, it's hysterical. You want to get started, and that way you can talk.
Yeah, sure. Let me follow you around. Monica, do you want to kind of describe what are we doing here?
Gather everyone around and play the instructions. It comes with a cassette tape with someone doing a funny accent.
This is kind of like Mission Impossible. Your mission if you accept
exactly
it.
Right. And then after they tell you the instructions, theme music comes on for an hour, which is nice. I like that. That's been one of our favorite components is the theme music.
Okay, call the troops in here.
All right, everybody ready to get started? We'll play the tape.
Everyone was called into the kitchen. The rules were read. In a minute, you'll hear a cassette tape being played. That comes along with the cassette. And then people will start turning a spinner to see what foods they get. And sometimes the teams end up with an odd assortment of food.
But usually something great comes out of it. We've often said if we approach making dinner like this every night, we'd really have a great meal, to make the most out of what we had in the cupboard. And you won't believe the presentation. I'm telling you, at the end of this, you will not believe the presentation of the dishes, even with some really weird ingredients. That's what's interesting. But yeah, they usually you'll taste it. You decide. There's usually some pretty good stuff. There's usually at least one bad dish. That's why I have the dish the dog wouldn't eat.
I can't wait to see that one.
You'll be surprised.
So we gotta get the rice. We want the ground beef. There's some strategy right here.
We're not
What happens is people cheat and they take stuff and you don't know bartering. That's something else.
That's what we got Jeff on our team for.
No, that's something else to remember though.
I'm the undercover guy.
Jimmy, watch Jimmy though. He'll try to slide in and get your ingredients.
Snake in the grass.
No covert activity.
Is this an important part of the competition here, trying to see who gets the best food stock?
Yes, definitely, because you have all these ingredients and only certain things can really come together to make something that's edible. For example, you can't have ground beef and ground beef and ice cream and
limes.
Right, and limes and make an entree. So you kind of have to think, if I get the ground beef, I definitely need the refried beans. If I get the shrimp, then I definitely want the rice. So you got to get your meat and your starch, in the right family.
But now, when you spin for this, can you pass if it's something you don't want, or you just kind of stuck with the luck of the draw?
Well, on the spinner, there are different options. You can either
different categories then.
Right, and you can take an ingredient from the other team, or which is when you start getting evil. Is you take what obviously they need for their entree. So the strategy comes in because you want to make sure they make like the doggiest entree they can make.
Okay, now when are you going to start that? Are you going to do that now? Okay. Let's get over here to the other side then.
Give an ingredient to your fellow team.
Do what, sir?
You can give an ingredient. Do you see the option?
But it never works out.
See, it's not just choose an ingredient. Look at that. The swap an ingredient.
It is time to begin. You will be using the spinner to choose ingredients. The master chef from the salt team goes first. Master chefs should ask for advice from their team members on choosing or swapping ingredients.
So the tape tells everybody what to do. Let's listen in as they pick what foods they're going to get. And it's the luck of the draw. What you got?
That's borderline. It says swap an ingredient.
Okay, spin
Okay, got to do it again. You haven't gotten any yet.
Ooh, that was tired.
Oh, man.
The other team chooses for us.
Okay. We get
Sorry, guys.
Something, y'all. We get to choose something for them. Chicken broth? Please don't go in.
So you want, give them the trash bags. So you want to give them something obviously you don't want.
Exactly. We want to give them something that we don't think we could use, and let's give them chicken broth.
What do you got? Chicken broth. You're giving away so we got chicken broth on this side of the table now. Okay. All right. Now who spins?
Now the pepper team spins.
All right. Here we go.
Swap an ingredient with the other team. Choose a new ingredient.
Choose a new ingredient. Okay. The other team.
Okay, Gary.
We need to get.
Right over here.
Yeah, just put it. No, we need to get
Divide the teams.
salt needs to be on one side. We need to be on the other.
Okay, I'm guarding our food.
Yeah, he's salt here.
Okay, go ahead, Gary.
All right, man. Good spin. Good spin.
Yeah,
Do we
it's your
keep
turn.
spinning?
Yeah.
You're the master chef.
Okay, so I spin all the time? Excuse me?
I just spun and we took the shrimp.
Y'all took the shrimp.
You'll be giving it back to us.
We have. It's okay. All right.
It's
okay. We got the shrimp.
Go ahead, you can do it. You want me to?
Cut the deck, please.
Oh, Lord.
Choose a new ingredient.
Cool. All right.
Ground beef.
Okay. So far, okay. Now you've got chicken broth. You're gonna pick the ground beef. You got the ground beef now. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, we spin.
All right. Chicken broth and ground beef on this side. All you guys have got is what?
Oh.
Yeah, have you got any ingredients? They got shrimp over there. Okay.
Shrimps. Choose a new.
Choose a new ingredient. The sound of a timer running, 90 minutes worth of timer. We're in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and the people who make the game Stir Crazy are our hosts. It is a wonderful game in which you throw a dinner party, divide up into teams, and then with the luck of the draw, you end up with foods. The teams then vie against each other to see who can make the best meal with the most tasty foods, outstanding presentation, and the most unique names. Monica Jones of the Decipher Corporation, the one who picked me up at the airport, explained what everyone was doing in that 90-minute period. You're taking ground beef, which I might add is lovely ground beef, and rolling sliced cheese in it. What the heck are you doing?
And lots of spices, Dennis. I'm trying to make an hors d'oeuvre, and I was stuck with these ingredients to come up with an hors d'oeuvre. So we're calling them little Mexican cheeseburgers of some sort. So we'll see what they taste like when they're finished.
Well, I can imagine if you did this game a lot, sometimes you would end up with some pretty good combination. But you're right, you'd get good at knowing what went together, even if it didn't sound right.
Yeah, we were being greedy on the meat ingredients, and we got both the shrimp and the ground beef. So I think we were a little bit too greedy. Now we're stuck with it.
So what did the other guys end up with? All vegetables?
They're stuck with all vegetables. So we're going to have some vegetarian dishes tonight too.
It's a genuine party atmosphere. We are at the home of the CEO of a Decipher company, a rising company that's making a lot of really fun games for people, and their new one is called Stir Crazy. It's a way that you can throw a party and not have to do very much. You let everybody at the party fix the food and compete against each other. As a matter of fact, during the 90 minutes when the meal was being prepared, I talked to the CEO, Cindy Thornburg, and asked her about the concept of Stir Crazy and games in general as we're in this holiday buying season.
We do obviously play test games and concepts that people submit to us when they want us to, manufacture and license their games. So we're exposed to a really broad array of game and entertainment concepts. What we do at Decipher is focus on products that, for the most part, are party concepts. Like How to Host a Murder is really a whole evening's entertainment for adults.
Let's talk about that. That's been around for more than a decade. How did that concept all start? And explain what it is and the fact that you've updated it recently.
Well, we have updated it, but it has been around for over a decade. How to Host a Murder was actually created by a woman and her husband in California, Bob and Ann Johnson, and they were bridge players. And they decided that they needed to do something different. They were having their friends over to play bridge all the time, and while that was fun, it was getting a little old. So Anne was an avid mystery reader, so she decided that she was going to take mystery concepts and turn it into a game. And How to Host a Murder is unique in that first you have to write this whole mystery story. So it's like writing a novel. And then you have to take that story and turn it into a game that has a real defined structure to it. It has 4 rounds where certain clues have to come out in each round, and then there's this final solution round where you find out who actually committed the murder. In our games, there are 8 suspects, 4 men and 4 women. All of them had both a motive and an opportunity to commit the crime. So the question is, it looks like everybody did it. Who really did it?
It's kind of like a more personal version of Clue in a way.
Clue or Murder, She Wrote.
Yes.
Where everybody actually gets to play the Angela Lansbury role a little bit and the combination of the suspect's role.
Now, what have you done to change it? If a person, let's say, purchased a set 13 years ago, what's different about it now?
Well, the product on the outside has an entirely new look. We've gone 4-color, we've updated it and made the package really sophisticated and artsy, yet still mysterious. We hired a world-renowned illustrator, Gary Kelly. Gary does all the murals for the inside of Barnes & Noble, and as well as Time magazine covers and other things. But he has done an illustration for each of the 13 episodes of How to Host a Murder. And actually, Gary just won an Society of Illustrators Award, one of the top illustration awards in the world, for his illustration of the Class of '54.
What's it like being down here in the Tidewater in the Virginia Beach, Norfolk area and not, say, in downtown New York or in a loft in San Francisco? It would seem as if the pressures are less here. And I don't know. I just think that the whole game concept, it's more conducive down here just because it's more laid back. I mean, I can't imagine your company being on Madison Avenue somewhere.
Well, none of the companies that make games are actually on Madison Avenue or in downtown New York. They may have offices there where they do some marketing or some showrooms, which we have a showroom in Manhattan as well, in the Toy Building at 200 Fifth Avenue. But we only use it for a couple weeks a year when the buyers come into Toy Fair. And so, likewise, a Mattel or a Parker Brothers or a Milton Bradley, they likewise have offices in different parts of the country, and then they just come to New York to sell their wares, so to speak. But there's not a lot of pressure here in somewhere like Norfolk, but we work with inventors who are the same people who invent for Mattel or for Parker Brothers or Milton Bradley. As a matter of fact, the inventor of Stir Crazy is someone who has done a Barbie game at Mattel. She's done Nickelodeon games for Milton Bradley. She's done the girls products for Parker Brothers. She's actually the creator of the #1 adolescent girls game in the industry, which is a game called Girl Talk.
Let me get into, if I can, something a little pragmatic here. We were talking earlier about the fact that people just don't communicate anymore. Certainly for the price of some of the games yours and some other companies make, you could spend that money getting a group of people together, going to the movies and eating popcorn, and sit there and not talk to each other for 2 hours. But it just strikes me the fact that we need to get back to just having good, clean fun at home.
Oh, absolutely. And when we first started playtesting Stir Crazy, before the game was ever, in a package, when it was still just in its original form submitted to us by the inventor, we were trying to get couples together and just to see how it worked, what the dynamics were. And the women would say, "Oh yeah, we'll come." And then the husbands would be like, "What do you mean we got to go and cook our own dinner? Are you nuts?" And then they'd get there, and after about 30 minutes, they were our biggest fans.
I feel like I've known these people all my life, and I've only been here an hour.
That's right, and that's what happens. And a lot of times when someone would buy Stir Crazy and actually go to host a party, they wouldn't necessarily invite 10 people who all knew one another. They might invite, some neighbors and then some friends from work and pull people from different parts of their lives who didn't know each other. And that's really the beauty of this product, because it breaks down barriers immediately, because suddenly you're either salt or you're pepper. And it doesn't matter if you're married to a man on that opposing team right now, he's the enemy.
You also are into a merchandising arrangement, I understand, with Paramount for the Star Trek franchise. Can you tell us what that product is like and how it is evolving as the years go past?
Oh, absolutely. About 2.5 years ago, a whole new category of gaming emerged, came out of nowhere with a product called Magic. And Magic is a collectible card game, which is kind of a combination of a strategy card game and trading cards. And the cards have different levels of rarity, like they're common, uncommon, or rare. And that determines not only their power in playing the game, but also their value, like trading cards. So if you're a trading card collector of baseball cards, if you get a Hank Aaron in the year that he's, Rookie of the Year or whatever, then that card has a lot of value. So when we looked at the success and the innovation of that product, we said, well, wait a minute, we're doing products over here with Star Trek. We could make a collectible card game with a Star Trek franchise, a Star Trek license that embodied all of the magic of Star Trek, which is just an absolutely very in-depth, very powerful license with a lot of followers. And so what we did was we said, okay, here's the Star Trek universe, and we took Next Generation, being the most popular of the licenses at that time, because it was still on prime time. Now it's in syndication. And we went through and decided, okay, these are the themes and these are the major elements of Star Trek The Next Generation. These are the major characters. And we're going to create a game that really parallels the Star Trek Next Generation universe. And that's what we've done.
Now let's join the 14 or so people who played the game and see how all the food turned out.
Watch this.
Part of the game is making up the names of the dishes. So
Well, they look really, everything looks beautiful. I'm anxious to see even, what is that, some kind of banana dish?
that's the other team made that. I think it's a banana flambe or something.
Burning down there a little while ago.
Was that what we smelled a little bit ago?
Yeah, we had a grill going down in the garage.
Well, plus the shelves in the garage were going up.
Well, we have an appetizer. We have ground beef, chili powder, cheddar cheese, tomato sauce, and salsa.
Okay, that's one of the appetizers.
Beautiful display with the hot pepper cheese and the Mexican flag and a paper flower.
And what else?
Then we have an entree, which is the Tijuana lobster rolls. And in that we have shrimp, tortillas, garlic. Garlic with a little lobster flavor, butter, lettuce, and sour cream. And for the dessert, we have Pepe's pudding, which is rice, raisins, Kahlua, and cinnamon.
Then everyone voted, and finally the results.
The entree was the Tijuana lobster. That was pepper. The dessert was the winner was salt for the bananas.
Yes, that was very good.
The table presentation, salt won that for Laurie's expertise. The food presentation, salt won that. The food names, pepper won. Pepper won for overall creativity, and so Pepper's the overall winner. The dish the dog wouldn't eat goes to the salt appetizer.
It's stir crazy, and that's what it'll drive you. I'm Dennis Daly.